What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turned Arse Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a very interesting 76 holes of golf technically over this past week. If anybody doesn't know, at RBC Canadian Open, we went to a playoff. Ryan Fox versus Sam Burns. It was the battle of the mid off almost, where both of them made a lot of pars
Oh,
on
I
a
see what you're saying.
no, yeah, I mean it was a par five, and I think both guys started off the playoff going three straight pars on each, where they both had an opportunity to do more with it, and they didn't. Um, the golf itself was great to watch the playoffs. Let's be abundantly clear, especially for you and I for other reasons, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Overall, Foxy pulled out the win. Thoughts on the week?
Well, I thought it was awesome. I think this was a really good pre-major event where people are just watching golf and obviously coming down the wire. You see Burns 62 to make the playoff. Foxy making, was it 11 or 12 footer or something like that to make the playoff.
Yeah,
Montecero was up there. I think it's just a really good showing for golf. I always say this, golf is, well, sorry, I'm a degenerate. Golf is only fun for a lot of people when it's competitive. I like watching it regardless, but having an event that is coming down to making clutch shots for the last three holes, it sucks me in. And we were actually playing golf during the event, and I was on my phone. We were bringing it up. Every shot I was at, Liam was at on the greens. We were doing everything. And for those who don't know, I'm just going to skip to it. I had Ryan Fox as a winner's pick. So if you're a degenerate that has just an insane amount of nerdness when it comes to golf, you are so welcome because you cashed in mightily.
yeah, it was a fun time. I think we highlighted it too. This was Matteo Manasero's best finish on the PGA Tour.
Mhm.
It was great in terms of like the names that we saw. My only thought is that I'm sure some schmuck out there is saying that because the big names weren't at the top of the field, which I'll highlight here in a little bit, I'm sure a lot of people might have skipped over the fact that it was a really enticing playoff.
It's on
Um,
them. I will even go back, take it a layer further. Liam, to skip ahead even further, had Sam Burns as a winner's pick. So we might have been jostling back and forth in that cart for the last
there was
hour and a half of the day.
Yeah, there was some trash talk. Shout out to Ethan and Ryan, who are the Rams we got paired with. They're probably listening to this podcast now. But there was definitely some jabbering back and forth between Jack and I in the card. Just some light trash talks. You're trash, my guy's better, whole deal, so on and so forth. But that was a funny one. All right, I'm gonna go through and highlight some of the things here real quick. Notable guys to miss the cut: Max Homa, Nicholas Hoygaard, Luke Clanton, Sungjae Im, Johnny Kiefer, Doug Gim, and Rory. Bear in mind, by the way, we did Jack and I did a friendly where it was Homa versus Clanton. I think Homa beat him by a shot, but they both missed the cut. So you're not really happy with either one. Let's be
I was very
abundantly
happy with
clear.
that. I wasn't going to mention it because I won, but you know what? Thank you for bringing that up.
By a shot, and they both missed the cut. Neither guy played well. Some low priced options that we were all over. Rico Hoey, who finished T36, Jake Knapp, who finished T27, Nick Taylor, who finished T13. I'm not counting Sam Burns as a low priced option, but he did finish second. We were all over him. And then obviously Jack was all over Foxy, Ryan Fox, who finished first. Notable misses were Luke Clanton, who missed the cut, Rory, who missed the cut horribly, and then Matthijs Schmidt, who also missed the cut. So that was kind of the highlight of the RBC. Jack, do you want to go through DraftKings FanDuel bets, anything at all?
I'll fly through them really quickly. My DraftKings and FanDuel's dominated because in both lineups I have Ryan Fox and Sam Burns. So you are absolutely welcome if you tailed. Outside of that, I had Keith Mitchell in both lineups with 27th. I had Pendrith in one who was 27th. Rosner who finished 24th. You had an average of like 570 if you tailed my lineups on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So absolutely crushed it this week. And I'll fly through bets as well. I went 5 for frickin' 5, ladies and gentlemen, up 3.76 units on the week. For some reason, I don't have my total. So here it is. I am up 14.74 units on the year. Trash, but here we are.
Well, don't worry, it gets even more disgusting. For my DraftKings and FanDuel lineup, this might have been my worst week in like our 4 years of golf. The only notable guy who did anything for me was Jake Knapp, who finished T27, and he was the one I respectfully probably had the least amount of confidence on going into the week. I had Rory missed cut at +2. Luke Clanton missed it on the number or one off the number. Matty Schmidt missed it on the number. Ricky Castillo missed it on the number. David Ford missed it on the number. I think I had, again, like four of the six guys missing on the number. So pretty brutal on that sense. FanDuel is the exact same way. As far as bets go, I had four. Had one win and three losses. Rory top 20 round one, lost. Luke Clanton over Thorbjorn Olesen. I think Olesen was in the lead through 36 holes, so that's tough.
Just 18.
Just 18, it felt like he was in the lead through 36. I mean, he must have been top five at that point. I had Matty Schmidt over Yannick Paul and Thomas Rosenmiller. I mean, geez, Yannick Paul, I think, finished T15 or something this week. He played some of his best golf of his career. And then I did have Shane Lowry over Corey Connors, which I think he beat him by like a shot. So that was a win. Overall, I'm down 1.9 units on the week. So I am up 14.71 units on the year. So Jack has got me beat by zero point zero 0.03 units. Bear in mind, I think prior to the PGA Championship, I was up 21 units. So this is an awful stretch for me where I have not been able to catch hold of anything. Jack, how'd your wild cards do?
Yeah, I had three this week, and I know one hit. I know Sam Burns top 10 hit at plus 333. Lowry, I want to say just missed it.
He
He was top
lost.
10.
He was 13th. I was
Yeah.
keeping tabs on
And
him.
then I had Nicholas Norgard top 20, and I don't even know if he hit the club face all week.
Yeah,
So,
I think he missed the cut.
oh, he definitely missed the cut.
So, all right. Well, one for three. You hit with Burnsy. He was plus 333. No matter what, you made some money off of that. So pretty good. For my wild card, I took Nick Taylor top 20 at plus 200. That was a winner. He finished also T13. So now with wild cards, I have 13 wins and 18 losses. So if you've been tailing my wild cards, you are up money so far this year. So hopefully you guys are doing that. And then winners, obviously we highlighted it, but let's give Jack his credit. He took Ryan Fox, 56 to 1. All right, we're done giving Jack credit because it's
No,
already
I
going
will
to his
say, just to
head.
clarify, it was a betting market without Rory, so it would have
Yes.
been higher, but I'm a pansy.
Yeah. No, and now we're done because we're not giving Jack any more credit because it will automatically go to his head. How'd your other guys do this past week?
Yeah, I mean, I had Pendrith and Keith Mitchell who both finished top 30, so I'm very happy with that. And this is our third winners pick in the last 4 weeks. I hit Ben Griffin a couple weeks ago, and Liam hit Scotty at the PGA, so we're on a heater.
Yeah. As far as my winners go, Jack highlighted it, but I took Sam Burns, who finished second, obviously. So we were comfortable whoever was going to win in that playoff because we had both of them. I had Luke Clanton, who missed the cut, and then I had Jake Knapp, who again finished like T27 at 60 to 1. Not the worst finish of all time, but obviously not a winner. So overall, that is the RBC Canadian. Do you want to highlight anything else, Jack? Or are we getting into
No!
Oakmont?
Oh
I
my
figured as
gosh. Not a
I
chance.
figured as much. All right, we are going to the U.S. Open at Oakmont. This is a par 70 totaling 7,300 and about 70 yards. I have a lot of
72 to
notes
be
on this course.
precise.
What's up?
372 to be precise.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the 2 yards. And I think everybody will live. If you know nothing about Oakmont, or if you haven't seen all the TikToks and the stuff on social media, it's probably going to be the hardest golf course that any of these players might ever play, might have played in the last 10 years. It's going to be ridiculous. Usually every week I go through and I take about 45 minutes to an hour to do research. I kind of had to give up halfway through this week because admittedly it's just ridiculous. Off the tee, you're gonna get jarringly narrow fairways, no more than like 25 yards wide in most places. If you miss the fairway, you're basically hitting into what is between 5 and 6 inches of thick rough. meaning that most golfers will not be able to move the ball more than about 30 or 40 yards, and you basically just have to punch out and hope that you hit it into the fairway to hit the approach shot on the green. That's the start. If you don't hit it in the rough, you're going to hit it into probably one of the like 150-ish bunkers on the course, or a crazy,
168.
thank you, 168 bunkers. I was close. Or you're going to hit it into one of these crazy ravines. This course is famous for the church pews. That's that bunker where you get the grass every 5 to 10 feet or so. It lays between 3 and 4. So if you remember this event from when they played it here in 2016 at the U.S. Open, where Dustin Johnson won, you'll see that on first few holes. On most golf courses, distance can assist, especially when it helps you carry trouble. But that's really not the case here. Distance goes all the way out to about 340 yards as far as these narrow fairways go. So even the likes of Rory and anybody else that hits ball country mile like Bryson are still going to have very narrow fairways to land the ball in at that point. Uh, there also is a par three at this course. It's going to play close to about 300-ish yards. It's going to be the longest par three in PGA Tour history. It's the eighth hole, I think, right, Jack? It's
Yep.
sitting anywhere between like 292 to 300 yards. And if it wasn't hard enough, there's like 5 bunkers that surround the green. So you basically have to hit a wood into a perfect shot, land it without a bunch of crazy rollout at the end, and hope that it sticks to the green at 300 yards out. Another thing to note, greens here are massive. They're about 8,500 feet on average. They're effectively much smaller though, because they have the undulations and the runoff areas. So, false fronts, things like that. They're also basically all protected with bunkers and super thick rough. The rain is also probably coming through Oakmont this week. It's supposed to rain Monday and Tuesday, so that's going to also make for a long and difficult course. Not a lot of rollout. Keep track of the weather. It shouldn't be in play this
I'll
week, but I
pause you
don't know.
there because so what Oakmont did, there's two things. One, they actually have the fifth largest green since 2015, running at an average of about 14.7 centimeter right now. They're actually cutting the grass in prevention of the rain because rough is going to get in between 5 and 6 inches. And that's bluegrass Ryan Poa for any of you nerds out there that really care. What they did since the 2016 US Open is previously the greens at Oakmont used to be like around like an oval. What they did is they basically clipped all of those greens on the corner, so it's effectively like a tabletop. So if you're rolling off, it's going to plummet. So they may be the fifth largest, but to highlight what Liam was saying about small, he's referring to landing area. So for anybody that was like listening to it, be like, well, no, they're actually long. He's meaning landing area. He's just not a nerd that receives it like me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was trying to. I'm kind of dumbing it down in all honesty because there's a lot in there. Last thing, the one thing that might be the differential maker that I found in my like 45 minutes of time. I mean, club head speed. If you want to get really crazy, I know it sounds dumb, but if you look back at like Winged Foot, which did play similar, which was 2020, as well as 2016 here. Now again, that was pre-renovations because they've renovated since 2016. The guys basically with the best club head speed found a lot of the success on this course. Bogey avoidance will also be extremely helpful. So if you find guys that are great at bogey avoidance, that is also probably a key factor this week. But yeah, club head speed, bogey avoidance, two major ones.
Yeah,
So
I'll add, it's going to be the second toughest course relative to par since 2007. The score relative to par is plus 4.63 of the greatest golfers to ever walk the face of the planet. So we are going to see some 80s. I truly think in my heart of hearts we might see an 85 from a professional this week.
do we see any amateur shoot like 89?
Yeah, because
Okay.
respect, I mean, listen, when I say this, it's take this with a grain of salt, but like you literally have a dentist in the field this week. I thought about picking him to make the cut. But
There's also
like,
like a 17-year-old I want to say
yeah,
too, right? Or
like
16-year-old?
it's not as much about 89 in a very weird sense is like a manageable score because it's not like you're going to your local club and you're just, oh, I'm off the tee. I got to punch out and try to make bogey. The real, like, you're hitting a tee shot. If you're off by a yard, you're hitting out like a punch shot and there's no rewarding wedge shot in. So like you're really it's like miss, 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 hope you make your 7 footer for bogey. So like
Yeah.
you are going to see an 80. I truly think we might see an 85 in professional. We may see a 90 from an AM, but I don't think we'll get that high. But I think there's going to be, respectfully, Nick Dunlap. I think there
I
may
think
be,
Nick Dunlap might shoot 90 this week one of the days. Yeah, I can see it.
yeah. I mean, I
I
don't
think
know.
there's also going to be a multiple triples on the eighth hole, the par three, the 300-yard par three.
Honestly, I don't think that. And the
Really?
reason I say that is one of the reasons why, again, this is nerddom that I don't think Liam would be privy to, is like those bunkers are a safety mechanism for the player, not for the course. So
Well,
they're
yeah.
hitting into these bunkers, now granted, lie dependent,
Well,
as an
that's
ability to keep it within 40 yards where they can manage. So I think the score over par is going to be like, it's probably going to be 4.1. So it's going to be over par by a shot. But I don't think we're going to see like 42 triples from.
no, no, no. I think though, like 10 triples that on that par three this week. I mean, I think that's in the realm of possibilities. And that's not, you can't say that at most courses or at most par threes. I mean, if people are making triple, it's like 17 at Sawgrass where they've hit the water twice, kind of a deal, or whatever the case might be. But I mean, not losing the golf ball, making a triple, kind of a deal, is very much in the cards. Probably 8 to 10 times on that eighth hole. Personally, no, all right,
I don't
that's
think
fair.
so.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's loop into DFS pricing. How do you want to do this? There's what, five guys above 10K? You just want to start with them. We've got Scotty Scheffler. This is all on DraftKings, by the way. Scotty Scheffler is listed at 14,400, down to John Rahm at 10,200. Thoughts? I saw the eye roll.
Well, hard to bet against Scotty.
Yeah,
Hard to bet against Scotty. That guy's a dog. And I mean, obviously, like, I think everybody comes on this pod and is like, oh, Jack hates Scotty. Like, that's like the number one. I get emails about it. It's so weird. I don't like, I always preface it's like, no, it's the only thing that really bothers me is the comparison. It's the only thing that bothers me. Because, just say it one more time. He has to win 54 of his next 102 tournaments to tie Tiger. If he wins, you know what? If he even comes close to that, it's remarkable. I think he'll have a little more longevity if he plays like this,
yeah.
because obviously he's not doing Navy SEAL boot camp and going to Perkins to find waitresses. But 3 wins in your last four, including a major, a tough
Yep.
stretch at Memorial, Byron Nelson in Texas. You're playing on 3 different conditions. He's done really, really well. One of the things that I think he's really improved on since we were harping on him, like really bad. Like, where is this? Like, metrics wise, he was struggling around the greens at Waste Management. BMW, he just was not there in terms of like distance. He was all over the place. He's really improved off the tee in his approach game. If you look at statistic wise, like obviously he's elevated in compared to because he's the second. He's a he's a top 10 player of all time. I'll say it.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
player of all time. You can make the case for 15, but like he really rides the wave on like above average, and now he's trending up. And although he lost 2% on the accuracy measure, he won at Memorial. And his around the green play was the best it's been in his last 25 or 24 starts. So approach play, he gained 2.11, which is his third or fourth best in the last 20 starts. He gained 4.67 strokes throughout the entire tournament, which is his fourth best in his last 25. So, like, it's hard to bet against him, but I will say he doesn't have, well, in the last 5 US Opens, it's cut 7, 2, 3, 41. The big misses for him are the putter. So, like, we've had this conversation about him long time, long time, long time, where if he can listen, he's a great putter, but if he can become a tour level putter, this guy should win this by 4 shots relatively quickly. But 14,400 is ridiculous.
Well, let me say this. So you mentioned it. He won in three of his last four starts. In his last 8 starts, he's gained with the putter in 6 of them.
Mhm.
Bear in mind, also one of those wins where he's won in the last three, he's actually lost strokes with the putter. So he won an event losing strokes with the flat stick because he was basically so good with his ball striking and his approach play that week.
Mhm.
Kind of crazy. Shouldn't be a thing. Happened to be a thing. But another thing to note, he's also top five on tour in bogey avoidance. I think he's just going to be a great option this week.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
probably
see
going
I
to
don't
finish
see any
like,
reason he doesn't finish like top 10 here.
yeah. Um, Everybody knows about Scotty, so I'll go into the next guy, which is ridiculous pricing at 12,400. We, ladies and gentlemen, may see a missed cut from Rory McIlroy this week. I don't know what the heck has been going on with him. He is he lost 5.87 shots at RBC Heritage, losing off the tee and negative 2.87 on the approach. The worst performance in his last 25 starts. He's also the fourth least accurate driver of the golf ball. Think about that. We always talk about him as being a top three driver of all time. He is. He probably is, but he's the fourth least accurate driver of people that qualify. And in the last 10 starts, excluding the Zurich, you degenerates, he's only been above average on driving accuracy in comparison to the field two times. He's averaging negative 7.7% less accurate than the field. And if you think about it, just for knowledge, for anybody that doesn't know this little data pool, the max you can get is 25. His last four starts were negative 22, unreal, negative 12, negative 15, and negative 10. He's also lost putting on his 50% of his last starts since the Masters. Um, Around the green, he's lost three in his last four, and we all know Rory McIlroy's wedge game has been something we've been critical of since like the last calendar year.
Yeah.
And yeah, listen, he's got two straight runner-ups and six straight top tens in U.S. Opens. He missed the cut at Oakmont. Um, I truly do not think this is a spot where if you are in a hitch, he's going through whatever. Clearly, something is wrong with his game and he's struggling and trying to grind through. We've all been there. I'm there right now myself. But there's no shot that I can confidently say Rory McIlroy is going to finish in the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, he is using to that backup driver, or at least used that at Quail Hollow. And he lost like about a stroke gained off the tee with the backup driver. Rory losing strokes gained off the tee, by the way, is ridiculous. Guy basically never does. So the fact that he is was crazy. He then went to RBC, lost on all strokes gained metrics on Thursday and Friday, missed the cut pretty badly. He's also lost on approach in three straight starts. He's going to be super avoided. If you are in like a only one person makes money, 100 people entry, you're probably going to be the only person that puts Rory in your lineup if you put him in.
Unless you've just not been watching golf since the Masters.
Well, yeah, which somebody might, you might get a very casual person that does that. But chances are if you're in one of those events for big money, people are probably at least having a general idea of what's going on in the golfing space. One thing to note is that Jack kind of highlighted, he's been 10th or better in each of his last six U.S. Opens. I don't think it'll matter this week. Jack is definitely much worse off on him than I am, but he is not somebody I would rely on at all by any
Yeah.
means.
I
So,
mean, I know the guy that you're going to get into that you like, but I really want to spend a minute talking about Xander Schauffele.
yeah.
His career worst finish at the US Open is T14.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Never finished outside of T14 at 8 starts, which is
he's won
brutal.
8 starts. And I think, yeah, he had a ridiculously bad showing at Zozo, Century, API, and players. He clearly wasn't 100%. He talked about it. Since then, we've clearly seen that gap where his strokes gained total has gone straight up in the air since like Valspar. And the big reason of it is approach play. I mean, if you take a look at the spots he missed, obviously around the green, he lost in almost every single one. And it's really improved since then. He's gained in five of his last six. But his approach play, plus 2.87, plus 1.37 last week, or excuse me, at the Memorial. His distance is incredible. His accuracy has always been a little bit lackluster, but I'm not like too worried about because he's losing like PGA minus 1%, right? Our API minus 3%. So it's not like he's outrageous all across the board. But this guy thrives on the step meter that's 14 and a half, let me tell you. So I think this could be an event that we may see Xander Schauffele raising another major championship.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to know too about Xander, he did play at Winged Foot in 2020. He finished fifth. And obviously that's the one that's kind of closest to him in terms of that. He's also got way faster club head speed now than 2020. He's got more distance. He just kind of fits this kind of a mold in general. And again, I'm going to go back to it. Not worse than 14th in eight U.S. Opens. Feel real good about that one. When I looked, by the way, this morning, his odds were positive for top 20 this week. That is an interesting choice and one to definitely keep tabs on as far as bets go. But yeah, I think we can both agree pretty high on Xander. I'll mention Bryson. Based on his price, I think he's going to be super popular this week. Don't ask me how he's cheaper than Rory. It doesn't make sense in my personal opinion based on recent form. But he's got five top six finishes in his last six major starts. He's gained in all statistical strokes gain metrics at those majors outside of the Open at Royal Troon last year, which is basically this course is like Mars compared to Royal Troon. Bear in mind that Bryson did win at Winged Foot back in 2020. He also finished T15 here as basically a child in 2016. He's having the best driving season we've ever had, where he's gaining 1.7 strokes gained off the tee per round in his past 36 rounds. He's also got club head speed right around the 130 mile an hour range, which is going to do really well for him this week. I think Bryson is a strong contender here. If you don't want to go Scotty, I highly recommend trying to find a way to get Bryson into your lineup.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also think one of the biggest concerns, like Masters highlighted it, but even before so, his approach play has been like real, like notoriously bad this year. Like
Yeah.
he's only gained like prior to the Masters, I think we said like 8 times in his last 25. Obviously, Bryson has 2 U.S. Open victories. And I think if you really take a look at his approach game, he's got 3 in a row where he's gained, like you had said, off the tee. He's just a menace. Now, granted, I will say this isn't like a deterrent, but live data and PGA Tour data do not cross over. So it's like, yes, he's gaining off the tee at a +3 almost in Mexico City, but that's with Richard Bland in the field. So like we have to take that into consideration. That's not dismissive,
It's
but he
also
just
3 rounds though, too. Remember that as well. He's gaining
yeah,
3 strokes off the tee there in 54 holes, not 72.
that's an
So,
average. That's not a total
well, I
of
still it's more volatile though that way.
yeah, but he's also dominated with the putter recently, which is
Yeah.
another big concern. Like you really take a look at his from like Singapore to the Open last year where he missed the cut, he only gained twice. I think people are forgetting that. Obviously, since then he's improved. I think he's a really vital option or a really good option. What I think he'll probably do, he's been very quiet this week about equipment and things of that nature. I think he's going to add loft to his driver. So you're not going to see 370 with 60 yards. I think he's going to loft his driver to get as much spin as he physically can. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to see finally, if you ask me, the elimination of him playing an 8 iron as a pitching wedge. I think we're going to see closer to like one club off so we get as much loft and as much spin and really swing through and get that spin so we can hold these greens because like he's hitting like a 7 iron, but it's a 5 iron loft. And he's not holding these greens and he's playing in like Korea, which is it's soft, it's like a sponge. You can't do that at Oakmont. So I think we're going to see a lot higher and different of a game from Bryson this week.
Yeah, I still like it in terms of setup. I think he's going to be good otherwise. We'll highlight Rom because we talked about everybody else. And admittedly, I think in terms of one of these five guys winning, I think it's like a 50% likelihood in terms of overall. I think it's going to be one of these top. I have maybe seven guys total I think that can win, and it includes all five of these guys in the top range here, realistically. I'll mention Rahm. He's been playing spectacular on Live. There is always the major question with John Rahm. He hasn't been playing as well at majors as you'd think since he left for Live. But his game is quite well. I think he's going to be a solid option to go through this week. Admittedly, though, for me, he feels like more of a differential play more than anything else. If you're trying to be different, I'm sure Jack has some notes on him or something like that. But I think Rom is just going to be a steady play.
I think he's been definitely trending in the right direction. And obviously, like Masters at 14th, he played well, but it was still, if you really like, listen, there's a difference between looking at a stat and saying 14th at Masters and watching it. He
Yeah,
should have done a lot better than 14th. So if you really go back and this is like, again, I've been friends with Liam for over 15 years. He knows this is not an insult to him. So like, take the everybody be quiet. He doesn't see the game of golf in the way that I see the game of golf, and I don't see the game of golf in the way he sees the game of golf. So
yeah,
like Liam, course history, statistics, measurement, all of that. He's like let's take Jordan Spieth for example, or Sam Burns even the last like 10 weeks. He sees Sam Burns lost up the tee. that, and I go to a course off the tee. I'm just saying statistically,
No, yeah, 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 I
that
know what you mean.
matchup. I see Sam Burns played really well, but off the tee, he was off by 6 inches and he's fine. So, like, we see two different things in terms of golf. John Rahm has the ability to do it. I I hate using the emotional thing. I think that's the dumbest argument in sports history. Like all those ESPN people ruin sports.
Yeah.
But I don't I know he's got that fire and I know he wants to win, but I think that when he gets out of it, he just destroys himself because he's like, oh, I should be doing this. I don't know what I did. He gets in that spiral. I hate that. I hate saying that because I don't think it's true.
Yeah, again, I think I'm lowest on him of outside of maybe Rory of anybody else in that range.
No,
So,
I would choose myself over. I'd choose Nick Dunlap over Rory this week. Not
okay, all
really,
right.
not really.
All right, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. On to the 9K range we go. This is where I have another guy that I think that can win. We got Colin Morikawa 9,800 down to Justin Thomas at 9,000. Talk to me about Maury. I'm sure you like him.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's two guys that I think can win, and one's Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa has had a really weird like last 6 weeks, like really weird. Like I can't even sugarcoat it. Basically, since the Masters went 54 cut, 17, 50, 20. But accuracy wise, he's gained in 24 of his last 25. I'm not counting the Zurich, you losers, where that was his missed cut. So if you really don't take that into consideration, we're fine. His approach game has been spectacular. It's his around the green that's been killing him. So, like, he has had in his best finishes, where if you take a look at API, where he finished second, gained over a shot there around the green. Tour Championship last year, he gained over a shot around the green. Off the tee is not a concern. He's one of the most accurate players in the entire game. I think he ranks number 4 in terms of driving accuracy of players that qualify. If he can get driving accuracy, and we've always talked about like historically, now it's his 7 iron for the record. He's fallen off a little bit, but like as of like a year ago, his 6 iron was his average or proximity was as the exact same as the average two players pitching wedge. That's ridiculous at tour level. So his irons should save him, and his distance obviously is mitigated with that accuracy. I think he has a real chance to win. I think it's amazing. And then I think Patrick Cantlay, this is a event that I think he can kind of turn it up a little bit. Now, granted, we have had the same problem with Patrick Cantlay for years and years and years where he hasn't been able to close. Guy's been playing some really consistent golf outside of the PGA, where I think a lot of people were really just behooved rather. That's not even a word that I just said. But he really came back with a good performance at Memorial, finishing positive basically everywhere but around the green, losing .011 shots, bite me. But his US Open stretch has been really good. Third, 14, 14, 15 in his last 4 starts, and he's gained almost everywhere. So, like, if there's an event that boring, exciting golf to me, but boring, I'm going to hit it in the fairway, I'm going to hit it in the green, and I'm going to two putt and take that 18 out of 18 times. This is the course that Patrick Cantlay has a leg up, in my opinion.
Yeah, here's basically what Patrick Cantlay's going to do the week. I'll tell you here in advance. He'll gain about 5 strokes gained tee to green. He'll lose about 2 strokes gained with the putter. He'll finish about T15, T20 after he barely makes the cut because he's going to struggle in one of the first rounds, and he's going to be pretty mediocre. If you're happy with that, then he's a great option. But again, I generally like to go with the higher upside play. He's going to be the pretty safe, boring T15, T20 play, which is still fine. It's just for me less exciting. I think you get more win equity elsewhere in this range. I also admittedly think there's a Patrick Cantlay light about $1,500 cheaper than him further down the board. So I would prefer to go with that option as opposed to the actual Patrick Cantlay and save myself the money. So I'm not going to him. I get it if you want to, though. I'll mention Justin Thomas. He won it obviously at Harbour Town, not too far back, but he still hasn't figured out how to hit the driver. Remember when he won at Harborside, he basically didn't take the driver out of the bag for 4 days. He's also lost on approach in each of his last 2 starts. He's also missed more cuts than he's made since his win at the PGA in 2022 as far as majors go. So I don't really think this is going to be the week for him. The course doesn't really fit him perfectly, which is unfortunate because I love Justin Thomas. I'd love to see him win. The guy that I think very highly of this week is actually Ludwig Gobert. He's had a really kind of strange year, but he's been kind of streaky as well. Canadian Open, he gained across the bag, which is huge. He's also been playing better golf. He finished T16 and T13 in each of his last 2 starts. It's giving vintage Ludwig, which I know is kind of oxymoron because that's not a thing. He's only like 24. But in 2023, when he first came out, this was basically how he was playing. He also finished T12 at the U.S. Open last year, so he knows how to play well at the U.S. Open. Pinehurst is not a pushover course by any means. So I think Ludwig Aubert will fit this course quite well based on how he plays. I'm very high on him this week in this range. He's probably my number one, whereas I know Colin is Jack's number one. So, all right. With that, I think we'll go a little quicker now. I know that we spent a lot of time on those first like two ranges, but we were going through guys that we realistically think had a chance to win. We will be a little bit quicker now into the 8K range. Tommy Fleetwood at 8,800 down to Hideki Matsuyama at 8,000.
Well, I think there's one guy in here that might take a top 10, and I think there's one guy that might miss a cut. I think Tommy Fleetwood has a really good chance to finish top 10. Tommy Fleetwood has three top 10s in his last six starts. Five starts. He's been right there. He's been a dominant iron player. His approach game has been off the charts. He's gained on approach in 23 of his last 25, which is incredible compared to the events we all know he's playing. He's playing elevated events and whatnot. The big weakness for him has been the putter. He gains about 50% of the time, just a little over 50% of the time. In a lot of these events, he's still finishing really well, but I think that's the separator between him finishing top 10 and finishing top 40, which is still an accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen. His last two U.S. Open starts, I think he really cracked the mold. Much like what I talked about with Bryson of really elevating, I think he has what's called a sawed-off finish. For anybody that doesn't know, it's a little bit more penetrating, a little bit more deep spin versus roll spin. He finished T16 and T5 accordingly. Putter wasn't awesome, but he basically kind of hammered everything else. Around the green was positive, approach play was positive, off the tee was positive, and just a little bit better than the average. And at the US Open, all you need to do is be a little better than average. In terms of missing the cut, this is going to be a wild one. It is multiple time champion Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka has missed the Masters. He's missed the PGA. Basically, since Singapore, which was in March, he has not finished inside the top 15 of a tournament. He has lost on putting tremendously in every event that wasn't on soft greens. And when I say that, like he lost 1.31 at PGA, 1.65 at the Masters. He has lost in five consecutively around the green. He has only gained strokes gained approach one time in his last 13 starts and is barely getting off the tee, which was his big stretcher when he was winning all these events. Now, granted, I know the only missed cut he has in the US Open is in 2012. So, like, the history is on his side. Eyeball test, man. This is crazy. It's scary, and it's actually positive money.
Yeah.
So,
You'll laugh at this. I have my note. I have notes on Brooks Koepka. I said he's lost on all strokes gained metrics outside of off the tee in five straight starts, which includes live. He also finished T42 last week on live in Virginia. Bear in mind, 42nd out of a 54-man field. So he basically beat like the Richard Blands and who's the new Spaniard there, the guy who peed in Race Creek.
Ballesteros.
Ballesteros, thank you. Um, so I think he's just a horrible option to rely on this week. I don't hate Tommy Fleetwood. The putter does scare me, admittedly, a little bit. But I understand if you want to get to him because he's basically safe everywhere else.
Mhm.
I like Joaquin Niemann. He did win last week in Virginia for Live. He also had his best major finish ever in a T8 at Quail Hollow. He gained almost seven strokes gained on approach at Quail, which is awesome. He also finished T23 at Winged Foot in 2020. He was like maybe 21 years old at the time. I know Neiman's been on tour for what feels like 15 years, but I think he's only 27 or 28 right now. I think at 8,600, he is one of the last guys in terms of low price that I think still has an option to win this tournament. Bear in mind, I still like the other guys more, but I think he's the only real other viable option. Again, not a big fan of the rest of the range. I mean, I get Fleetwood. If you want to look at Hideki, I don't hate you. He's gained at least 10 strokes gained tee to green in four of his last five U.S. Opens. As long as he can make to the first tee Thursday, he's an interesting option. At 8,000, he's pretty cheap, so I get it if you want to go to him. Sweet. 7K range we go. Shane Lowry at 7,800 down to Jason Day. No, he's 69. Wyndham Clark.
Well, I'll say I like a couple guys that have trash history at the U.S. Open, and I'll preface that right away. Number one is Corey Connors. He's only 1 for 6 on making the cut at the U.S. Open, but it's just the putter. Like everything else is fine. He's lost two 1.76 and 2.1 putting respectively. And outside of his only missed cut on the year, which was in Hawaii, you cannot, there's literally no comparison. He's gained an 18 of 24 everywhere else. So he's been dominant. He's gained off the tee in 22 out of 24 starts. He lost 0.0001 at the Scottish Open. He's fine. And he's also been positive in accuracy in 23 out of 24 starts, only missing out by 2%. So he's doing really, really good. His approach is also on a positive scale, it goes to 25%, 17, 7, 18, 16, 5, 11, 7, 7, 17, 4, 10 in his last bunch of starts here. And 9 of his last 11 starts were top 25. So he is one of those guys that ball striking is going to carry him. It's the putter that I'm worried about, but I truly think at like this price, 7,300, I want a made cut. I also think Shane Lowry is an interesting one. Much like Tommy Fleetwood, one of my concerns is he also has a penetrating ball flight, but and a terrible U.S. Open history. Um, he's one of those guys that has really dominated on these hard tracks. So T20 and T19 in his last 2 years. He also finished runner-up at Oakmont for anybody that cares. But he top three at the DP World Tour Championships, runner-up at AT&T, top 10 at API, I think just outside top 10 at Honda. Biggest strengths for Lowry is obviously approach, where he's gained 20 out of 25 starts. Three of the misses that were negative were 0.2 or worse. So he's done fine, and he's gained off the tee in 19 of the last 20 starts. He lost 0.004 at the Olympics and 0.005 at Honda, so he's done fine. Those are two guys that I think that can really do well. Outside of that, there's three guys I really want to highlight really quickly because I know Liam will yell at me. One is Jordan Spieth. Now, Jordan Spieth is one of those guys that outside of his win has not had a great standing in terms of the U.S. Open, but his accuracy, his distance has gone up, his strokes gained total, basically since Honda has been dominant. Now, granted, he missed the cut at PGA, which a lot of big people did. Like that's it's just a thing that happened. He still gained 0.44 shots. That's amazing for a made cut. Off the tee is as good as it was in 2019, which is 6 years ago, which is crazy. His around the green play, which killed him when that big stretch happened where Liam was on his you know what. It's been really good lately. Really good. His putter has been a lot better. Like his putting from like last year's Wells Fargo to like, I don't know, the players of even this year was the worst I've ever seen. It's finally coming back. And this is an event. I mean, we saw it at Chambers Bay where he just, if he can get that down, he's a really interesting play. I'm hoping for a made cut. I'll move even quicker. Keegan Bradley is another interesting play. I think Keegan Bradley is one of those guys that has been so consistent all across the year. His last two starts are T7, T8. His strokes gain total has been a menace on the positive scale outside of like AT&T. Super accurate player, super, super accurate. Not a great stretch in terms of US Open, but T7 at the 2022 US Open, T32 last year. It's interesting. And then obviously Sam Burns has been the light and shining armor, and he is a ridiculously low price this week, which is very confusing because putter, 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 putter and a half is what make or breaks a lot of these guys. And finally, we have back-to-back strokes gained on approach, which has
Yep.
not happened since the Hero World Challenge of last year. So goodbye.
Yeah, Jack highlighted a lot of the guys I already liked, but I'll go through some of the notes again just to confirm. Shane Lowry is that guy who's basically Patrick Cantlay light for $1,500 less. I'll say it. He looks spectacular based on approach play. He's gained on approach in 10 of his last 11. I think Jack said like 22 of his last 25 or whatever the number was. During the stretch of his last 11 starts, he's got 8 top 20 finishes. His big challenge is he's lost with the putter in each of his last 3 starts. He has the tendency to basically put together 2 to 3 good rounds and then struggle to get across the finish line come Sunday. Sound familiar? Again, can't lay. I think he's a good option, but I actually like the guy below him a little bit more. which is Joseph Giuseppe Sepp Straka, or just Sepp Straka if you're a casual. He is getting the job done at the end of the day. He's gained on approach in 14 of his last 15 starts. He's also gained with the putter in 4 straight starts as well. He's basically peppered top 20 finishes all season. He's got eight. He's got 8 for his last 11, which is the exact same as Lowry. But he's also just got the better putter and a little bit more consistency across all 4 rounds. I love me some Sepp Straka at 7,700 this week. It is a crazy low price. I will mention Jordan Spieth. Congrats, Jack. Jordan is now playing some of his best golf since probably 2015-ish, 2019-ish, depending on where you think the cutoff is. He gained at all statistical strokes gained metrics outside of the Truist. Yes, that includes gaining at the PGA where he missed the cut on the number. He still gained in all 5 metrics in each of his last 5 starts. Club head speed is up. The approach play is better. He's got good major history. He's a valid option this week. Bear in mind, I still have a love-hate relationship with him, and I won't get to him. But everybody else, you are more than welcome to get to Jordan Spieth this week. I give my consent. To rely on Jordan Spieth, yeah, you get consent this week. Ben Griffin has been on an absolute heater since the Houston Open back in March. He's got 2 wins, one of them being the Zurich, so it's kind of a, asterisk. And he's also got 4 other top 10 finishes in 7 starts. There's also the T8 of the PGA, which is best major finish by country mile. He's playing great golf. He's got a great short game. So as long as he stays on the planet off the tee, I love him a lot in the low 7K range. And Jack highlighted Sam Burns, basically best putter on tour this year. He's always gaining like crazy with the putter, but he's also gained with approach in the last 2 starts. Should have won last week. I don't know how. He's the best putter on tour and misses a 6-footer. That doesn't make any sense at all, but I think he's going to be another solid option this week. Burnsy is a very streaky golfer. So right now a T2 or second place is no better time to basically hop on the streak before it probably ends in a couple weeks and then he starts losing putter and on approach again. So there you go. Into no other highlights right in the 7K range?
Nope, we're good.
Sweet. Jason Day, 6,900 down to Thorbjorn Olesen, 6,000.
Yeah, I got a couple guys. I think number one, I'll go to a major staple in Patrick Reed. Do I think he's going to win? No. Do I think he's one of the best short game players, the top 5 short game players, literally in the history of golf? Yes. And if you don't think that, you're just hating because it's Patrick Reed, which I get. But in his last bunch of starts, basically since, let's call it Singapore, he's got 3 top 5s basically in his last 7 starts. His only hiccup on his entire calendar has been the miss at the PGA Championship, which he sucked basically everywhere but the putter. If he does that this week, he should make the cut, which is a wild thing to say. He has made every single one. I think it's like 8 out of 9 U.S. Opens. He's been dominant. Average strokes gained finish is almost in the 2s for a U.S. Open, which is ridiculous. So he's obviously a staple. I think Ryan Fox is another interesting play. I'm definitely highlighting the hot hand. Yes, I may be biased that I picked him, but he's won 2 in his last 4. 20 at the Memorial, 28th adjusted. Not the best U.S. Open finishes, but I'm not hoping for 10th. Well, I'm hoping for 10th place. But in his last 4 starts, his strokes gained total is well above the 2 on the average. Distance has been really good. Approach play has been really good. Outside of putting in the playoff, he did great all week. I don't have any reserves about him. I also think Denny McCarthy is an interesting play this week. I have to pull up my notes here because he's on a different page. But he's been the model of consistency, and he's outside of Sam Burns is another top 5 putter. Has made 4 of his 5 U.S. Opens. Plays really good on these tough golf courses and really tough stretches. 8th at the PGA, which I thought was really, really good. And Liam, I hope you are sitting down for the name I'm about to drop. We may see a Cameron Young made cut. Cameron Young,
dang it,
has made 5 straight cuts. Has looked basically since the Masters has been an entirely different golfer. If you look at the statistics, it's red. If he was a stock, he would be hedging right now. He has been really good with the putter, really good off the tee, and outside of the worst stretch of approach play that I've ever seen in my life, has gained in 3 of his last 4, and his accuracy measures have gone up. Really quick, I also want to highlight, I think my Diamond in the Rough, which is a name that I've mentioned more times on anybody on this podcast, probably outside of Tiger Woods, Christian Bezuidenhout, or Bezuidenhout, if you are
Liam.
Scandinavian. Outside of the Memorial, which he missed the cut, and I don't count the Zurich, he has been very consistent. But most importantly, if you take a look at the courses that he's done really, really well at, the stip meter has been crazy outside of the Masters. He's done really well at. So he's made 3 US Opens, 32, 31, and 55. Strokes gained total is really good. And most importantly, his accuracy measure is spectacular. So if you want a guy at 6,300 because you're going to bite Scotty Scheffler at 14,000, whatever, he's a guy you can stack with. I
Yep.
really think that. And John Kiefer will miss the cut by 17.
Okay. Let me start off. The 6K range definitely has a notable drop off. There are some dogs. The dog of all dogs, Jack highlighted Patrick Reed. Doesn't really matter what you put in front of him. Patrick Reed's going to figure out a way. If it's a major or the Ryder Cup, Patrick Reed turns into a freaking animal, and then he's an awful human every other week of the year. He has the ability to basically short game any course on the planet to death. He missed the cut at the PGA, so people are probably scared to go back to him. But that was his first major miscut since 2021. I want to say it was the PGA that year too. Uh, Short game's going to probably carry him to a made cut. 6,900, great option for him this week. I'm all aboard. Cam Young, which Shaq highlighted as well. Let me start by saying I almost hurled when I put his name into my document. It was not pretty. But he's gained with the putter in 12 of his last 14 starts. He's also gained off the tee in 3 straight starts, and he's starting to find the approach, albeit that basically means he's having a bad week, good week, bad week, good week. But I went back through and looked at Cam Young because obviously he was the rookie of the year. So I wanted to see what he was doing on his best finishes his rookie year that allowed him to do this. And it was when he was gaining between 2 and 3 strokes gained off the tee, and he would gain about 3 to 5 strokes gained putting. If he's popping off with the putter right now and he's gaining 12 or 14, and he's popped off gaining off the tee in 3 straight starts, that's more or less what he was doing when he was playing really well as a rookie. So I think it's valid that he's at least making a cut here. He might be able to contend up for like a top 30-ish type of finish this week if he really pushes it like
He hits
crazy.
the ball incredibly high.
That is true. So I don't hate the idea of going to Cam Young. I'd prefer to stick to those two. If you want to get fancy, Carlos Ortiz is an interesting option. Take out Bryson, Joaquin, and Ram, who basically carry live. Carlos Ortiz is listed as the fourth best golfer right now, based on his last 36 rounds. He's gaining top 10 finishes every week on live. He's gained an all strokes gain data outside of putting in each of his last 5 starts. But one thing to note on him, he does not play majors often at all. He hasn't played in a major since 2023, and in his 9 major starts, he's never done better than a T53. His game is spectacular. His lack of major success is terrifying. He is super cheap, so if you want to get to him, he's not the worst option in this range. But again, I would stick with Patrick Reed or Cam Young personally. I will also mention last guy at 6,000. Steven Yeager's very interesting because he does hit the ball a country mile. He's also got great club head speed. He also finished top 25 at Winged Foot, and he's also got some of the most differential in club head speed since Winged Foot in 2020. He's basically to the equivalent of where Rory was in 2021 now. So that is an important thing to note. Beyond that, let's get into the 5K range. Victor Perez at 5,900 down to, oh boy, uh, Chase Johnson.
Well,
Congratulations, Chase.
almost every single person here is probably going to miss the cut. One guy that I think is an interesting play, his name is Michael Assasso. For those of you who do not know, what a stutter. He won the D1 National Championship stroke play. He has 2 wins in his last 4 starts and a runner-up in the Tallahassee Regional. So he's got 1, 1, 2, and a 37th finish in the SEC Men's Championship. He is a stick. And I do not say that lightly about college because I think college is a little bit different of a format now with Live, with the Challenger Tour, Q Score, things of that nature. I think he has about a 35% chance to make the cut. And that's a stone min. So if you're doing Scotty, you want a guy to kind of round out so you don't look like an idiot. Um, and there's also guys in here that are going to miss the cut. I'll mention their names later, but Nick Dunlap. But I really think that This range is like if you can avoid it, oh my good, run to Uzbekistan before going in this spot.
I'll reiterate it. I'm avoiding the 5K range. I'll just tell you now, this range is not it for me. You might get somebody lucky that makes the cut here. I would not want to rely on it. Jack's probably got the best choice in terms of Lasasso, just based on the fact that he's a nerd for college golf. I'll mention two other guys, one and a half guys. There is Chris Gotterup. He's been playing probably some of his best golf of his career the last few weeks. He's rattled off 5 straight T30 finishes. He's got the off the tee skill set to basically have a chance to make the cut here. He's also gained off the tee in 8 straight starts, but he's also lost with the putter in about 5 of those 8 starts. Again, he's not my favorite choice, but if you're hoping for like a zero putting week and then is off the tee to gain him like 6 shots, and then he scrapes by the number and then he shoots like 14 over on the weekend, that's basically the dream scenario for Goddard. The other option is the name who's infamous for peeing in Ray's Creek, Jose Luis Ballester. He went to live, had a rough outing where he basically beat Brooks Koepka and nobody else. But one thing to note, he does fit this course pretty well. He does move the golf ball a country mile. If the distance is going to help anybody, it's going to help him. He's got some of the highest club head speed and ball speed on either tour, if not named Bryson DeChambeau. So trust me, I don't prefer to get to him. I would prefer Gotterup over him. I'd prefer Lasasso over both of them, but I'd most prefer to just stay out of this range altogether.
I I I can't even describe to you how much I hate that pick. And
I understand.
he
I
has,
thought
let me just put it this way.
I thought about
In
saying Nick
college,
Dunlap, by the way.
he is an awesome, awesome college golfer. You take his last 25 starts, which include live, college, the Masters, a couple sponsor exemptions, the PGA, and a DP World Tour sponsor. He's only gained in vision one of the best college golfers 5 times in 25 strokes gained total. What?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's a good choice. There's a reason why I listed him third, but he does move the ball a country mile. And that is the only reason I threw him out there. I'm like, hey, if you want to rely on distance, absolutely saving somebody this week, there is nobody who's going to be saved more by distance than the guy who hits the ball like 330 yards off the tee. And that is Jose Luis Ballester. I think he's going to miss the cut by a country mile. But again, I think a lot of the guys in the 5K range are going to miss the cut by a country mile. So you just got to kind of pick the one that you want to take a chance on. So, all right. With that, let's get into DraftKings lineups. Jack, what are we looking at? What's your lineup?
Yeah, my lineup, I have Colin Morikawa at 9,800. I have Patrick Cantlay at 9,300. I think both of those guys play, to me, really exciting, boring golf. I have Tommy Fleetwood at 8,800. I think if he's going to have a good showing, if he can just heighten his ball flight a touch. I have Jordan Spieth at 7,500. I think that's a very reasonable price for a guy that's playing like the way he is. And obviously, he's just a KG veteran, as some people that we know would say. I have Corey Connors at 7,300, one of the best ball strikers on earth. It's just a matter of that putting. If he can even just do -1 shot on the week, he'll make the cut. And then I have Ben Griffin at 7,200. I'm riding the hot hand. He plays a really spinny golf ball and he hits it really well. It's about the driver for him. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you took a very balanced lineup. I get it. I like probably 3 to 4 of those picks. Um, Not Cantlay. But everybody else. For my DraftKings lineup, I went a little top heavy. I got Bryson DeChambeau 11,000. I took Ludwig Gobert at 9,600. I got Joaquin Niemann at 8,600. Seb Straka at 7,700. Patrick Reed at 6,900, and then took Steven Yeager at 6,000. So again, I think Steven Yeager's that cutoff. Try and stay him or above.
So. All right. Well, I have a disgusting FanDuel lineup. I have Xander at 11,800, Colin Morikawa 11,600, Shane Lowry at 11,100, Corey Connors 9,800, Christian Bezuidenhout or Bezuidenhout at 8,600, Michael Sasso at 7,000 flat. I think there's a 1 in 3 chance he makes the cut, maybe a little better. If he can give me that, I just won money out of every single human being in America's pocket.
Yeah, no, that I have a similar concept on FanDuel. Bryson DeChambeau, 12,500. Ludwig Gobert, 11,500. Joaquin Neiman, 10,900. Nick Taylor, 9,100. I didn't really highlight him too much over the preview, but he's been playing very good golf recently. So I think he's solid. Patrick Reed at 9,000. And then I took Andrew Novak, who's the Stone Man. Bear in mind, he's like 6,600 or so on DraftKings, but he's the Stone Man on FanDuel. Andrew Novak is cheaper than Jose Luis Ballester on FanDuel, but he's $1,200 more on DraftKings. Crazy to me. Andrew Novak plays a lot of good golf, makes a lot of cuts. I think he can be an interesting option. I like him better than most. So that's really the reason I took him there. All right, on to bets. And again, I'm gonna do this because I do this most majors. Jack's laughing because he knows he's giving me more freaking work to
I
do.
only have 27 bets, Liam. I don't know what you want from me.
We're putting the 27 bets covering our faces right now. Chances are you guys like that more anyways. That way you don't have to see me just laughing at Jack. So these are the 27 bets. Jack, feel you can either go through them all really fast, don't give any extra detail, or highlight like 5 or 6 that you really like.
Yep. I'm going to highlight them all. I'll only put a little bit of comment for the people that you may not know who they are. So, Rory 14th or worse at -120. Corey Connors made cut -200. Xander Schauffele and Corey Connors made cut parlay -122. Shane Lowry and Colin Morikawa made cut -122. Sam Burns made cut -160. Keegan Bradley made cut -175. Patrick Reed made cut -165. Denny McCarthy made cut -145. Christian Bezuidenhout made cut even money. Cam Young made cut +110. Jordan Spieth made cut -170. Nick Dunlap and Kevin Velo missed cut. I can't even describe to you how much money I'm putting on that, but for this podcast safe, I'm only going to put one unit. It's -128. Zach Blair and Zach Bashaw to miss the cut, -114. Adam Shank and Nicholas Norgard to make the cut, +139.
Missed the cut.
Missed the cut. Yeah. Nicholas Norgard to miss the cut, -145. Probably don't play this, but Brooks Koepka to miss the cut at +115. I'm throwing my refrigerator in here. John Kiefer to miss the cut at -125. Probably bet my relationship with my lady on this one. Speaking of relationships, I'm betting my relationship with my family, the place I live, the car, and the golf clubs on Nick Dunlap to miss the cut at -340. I originally had 34 units on this bet, but Liam talked me down to 3.4. So we're there. Into normal bets. Xander Schauffele top 30 at -160. Ridiculous for a guy that's dominated the U.S. Open. Colin Morikawa top 30 -150. Shane Lowry top 40 -170. Patrick Cantlay top 40 -170. Corey Connors top 40 -125. Keegan Bradley top 40 +110. John Rahm over Rory McIlroy at +105. Ryan Fox top 40 at +130. Christian Bezuidenhout top African at +210. I have one comment to make. Rory McIlroy 14th or worse. That was like right now I think it's at 17. That's only on Bet365. Lock that in because everyone in the world hates Rory McIlroy outside of well, maybe his wife does. But most people hate Rory McIlroy this week, and his odds are tanking. So it's probably going to, by opening tee shot, get to 19. So if you have Bet365, not a sponsor, sponsor us. You're welcome to hit me up.
Please do.
golfpod@gmail.com. But 14th or worse is what I have met. Lock that in.
There we go. All right. If you guys skipped ahead and you just saw the highlights, Jack is very high on Nick Dunlap. He thinks he's going to make the cut and win the golf tournament. No, I'm just kidding.
He's going to make the cut at his local bachelor parties event while he's swimming in Barracuda in the weekend.
I'm messing with you. All right, on to my bets. I only have 7. First bet is Joaquin Neiman over Tommy Fleetwood. This is a dangerous one. Admittedly, it's the only one I really don't feel super comfortable on. -110. Second one, Xander Schauffele over Colin Morikawa, -110. Brooks Koepka 42nd or worse is -120. I like that a lot better than the missed cut because if he somehow makes the cut, he's probably going to play awful on the weekend anyways. So there's a good chance he'll finish worse than 42nd. I like Joaquin Neiman as a top South American over Johnny Vegas, Emiliano Grillo, Nico Echevarria, and then somebody whose first name I forgot, whose last name is Gonzalez.
I think it's Emilio. Is that right?
I was going to say Edgar, but I didn't want to be wrong. So regardless, Gonzalez, and that's minus 125. I have Jordan Spieth over Russell Henley at minus 105. I have Victor Hovland over Brooks Koepka at minus 120. And I have Xander Schauffele top 20 at plus 105. So those are my seven. Jack, what's your wild cards this week?
I
Oh,
have
wow.
two. One is Rory McIlroy to miss the cut at plus 350.
Yeah.
Um, I, in my heart of hearts, I've watched him. I have studied him. Outside of the Masters, has looked like Nick Dunlap with a lot of money. So
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
I'm trying to think of
but
how I want to title this deck. It's going to be like Rory McIlroy is washed up and trash at Oakmont at the U.S. Open
listen,
2025.
oh, it that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life at RBC.
Yeah.
And it may seem wild to say, but like his PGA, like it might have even been worse, not score wise, but like momentum wise. He's played 8 straight rounds of just hasn't been able to get in a rhythm golfing for Roy. That's terrible. He
Yeah.
lost 22% of the accuracy in 12 of the last 2 weeks. Very scary going into it this week. And again, he did miss the cut here at Oakmont. And then I have Xander Schauffele top five at plus 425. Now, Liam is right now, top 20 is plus money.
Yeah.
But in terms of like US Open, here's Xander Schauffele's record, and I'll go quick. 3, 6, 3, 5, 7, 14, 10, 7. He's been there every single time. Should I bet top 10 at plus like 250? Of course. But even if he ties, that's a basically 4 to 1.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Again, my actual bet has him T20 at like plus 105.
Yeah.
But I get the top five. I would have gotten the top 10 as well. I totally get it. For my wild card, I just have the one, and I'm doing Jordan Spieth top 20 at plus 200. Boom, call it a day. Again, he's been playing really good, so I feel pretty happy about it. On to winners. Jack, you got three pre-year winners. You got three current winners.
I feel actually really good about my pre-year winners.
Yeah.
I have Xander Schauffele 20 to 1, Joaquin Niemann 40 to 1, and Patrick Cantlay 50 to 1. Again, they may be way different odds than what are available now. I don't even know. I didn't even look because those were, what did we do that? October?
Yeah, we did that right around, September, October. I want to say they're all in the, well, Xander's like 15 or 17. I think Neiman and Cantlay are both like 30-ish to
Got it.
1. So yeah, I mean they're all a little bit lower. Xander obviously just slightly, but who are your other three winners?
Yeah, my other three winners in this market is outside of Colin, betting without Scotty. So it's Colin Morikawa 25 to 1 straight up, Shane Lowry 45 to 1 without Scotty, and Jordan Spieth 71 without Scotty. And I put LOL there because I don't think he's going to win, but I think that it's going to be a big dog this week.
No, that's fair. All of mine are including Scotty. I didn't do any without Scotty this week. My pre-year winners were Rory, Justin Thomas, and Davis Thompson. I don't feel confident about any of them. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think, in retrospect, I shouldn't have done it this way. But yeah, I think Davis Thompson might be like 180 to 1. I think JT's like 35, and then Roy's about 15, maybe 11. But yeah, my current year winners for this tournament, I got Bryson DeChambeau 7.5 to 1. I got Ludwig Ober at 27 to 1. And then I took Seb Straka, who's only 37 to 1, even though he's very much lower priced. I think everybody else is starting to hop on the bandwagon. He's probably lower now. He might even be like 30 to 1. There's a lot of hype on Seb Straka. So, all right, with that, Jack, that is the US Open.
One
Next
more
week we
comment.
have the what's up?
Justin Hicks, for anybody that's gambling, is 5,000 to 1. And if your parents never said take a $10,000 or 10,000 to 1 odds, maybe put 50 cents on Justin. No, I'm not actually, don't actually do that. But he's 5,000 to 1. I've never seen
That's
that before.
that's insane. Without Scotty?
No.
Oh, straight up? Okay.
Oh,
Got it.
yeah.
All right.
Well, let's see. Without Scotty, I'm sure it's plus 210.
No, it's 49 or 4,900. So no, all right. We'll leave it to it. We should go check out what was that guy's name again?
I don't even know anymore.
Okay. Marks or one of those guys. Go check that out. on the sports books. But that was the U.S. Open breakdown. Sorry, I know this was a longer episode, but this is a major here we're talking about. We want to give you guys all the information. Next week, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled times. We got the Travelers, but safe betting, happy betting. Follow Jack, probably bets more than anything else because he's on one right now. But we'll leave you to it. Deuces.